Hey everyone, it's Michelle, and today I am talking about eczema. You guys know that I suffered from it for many years, and it's crazy to believe, but it's been over 3 years now of me being healed. I've had a few minor outbreaks from here and there, but overall my severe eczema has been healed and stayed away, so I'm super grateful for that. But today I have Abby from Prime Physique Nutrition, and she is a registered holistic nutritionist, and her mission is to help other people overcome eczema by using food, nature's greatest medicine, to bring healing to the body. I've also had the honor of being on Abby's podcast, the Eczema Podcast, which I will make sure I give the link down below to that podcast, as well as all of Abby's information as well. But I'm also super excited to have Abby on here, not only to share her story, but she has a new program out, Conquer Eczema Academy, which I'm super proud to be an affiliate of, and I was also a part of it. I was able to supply workouts, many of the workouts that I actually did during my eczema days, so you get to see me working out with my eczema and all, and so much fun. This program is so great. We'll talk more about that at the end. Abby, I know you have a similar approach to me in healing around eczema and things in terms of focusing on a real foods diet, but also really keeping your mind positive along the journey as well, because anyone out there who's watching this probably has eczema or knows someone does, and how much of an emotional battle it is as well as a physical battle. And you know, we both believe that you have to take care of yourself from the inside out and truly fall in love with who you are and have a belief in yourself that you will get better. So Abby, thank you so much for being on here today.
Thanks so much for having me, Michelle.
Can you share just a little bit to our readers, a little bit about your story for those who maybe don't know your story?
Sure. So I suffered from really bad eczema for a really long time. I had it since I was born, but then growing up, it started to get worse when I was a teenager. When I was around the age of 15, I moved to Hong Kong, and then it just, all of a sudden, it just spread all over my body, and then it was so bad to the point where I would wake up with blood on my fingers and dead skin flakes all over my bed. Whenever I took a shower, it would sting a lot. Even if I washed my face, it would sting. And my face was always red and full of rashes. And whenever people saw me, they would stare at me sometimes. And I was just so afraid of the judgment. And not only was it physically painful and physically traumatizing for me as a young child, but it was also emotionally painful. And emotionally, it had a big impact on me. And even after I moved back to Canada, where I am now, my skin did get better, especially after I did a diet change, did a lot of lifestyle changes, and added a lot of supplements, which I can talk more in detail later. But after I did all that, I still had a huge, it was like a huge scar that I still had. And so I had to work through a lot of that. And I love what you're doing, which is self-love. And you're teaching a lot about mindset, which is what I believe in hugely about. And just learning things like that has really started to help me as well. And yeah, that's my journey. And after doing a huge diet change and learning about how much diet has affected my skin, I became a registered holistic nutritionist. And I have a lot of pictures of what my skin was like before. And my skin really did look like a burned victim, which was, now that I look back, like it's really disheartening to see it. And it's painful to see that I went through so much. And, but then I feel like I went through it for a reason, so that now I can share my story, and I can also have this program that I started, which you're a part of, which is great. And you've supplied so many great workouts, which are eczema-friendly, especially since so many people who have eczema have trouble working out.
It was hard, and everything you said, it was like I was remembering all those things. I remember waking up and seeing blood in my sheets, and like looking at my legs and all the scars, and I still have some scars left over that have healed, and I kind of just realized they're just a part of me. And for me, my eczema started young too, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't officially get diagnosed of it till I was in, I guess, late 20s or whatever. And but I always was embarrassed by it too, because I always had like these, mine mostly started on my legs. And I remember in high school and stuff being embarrassed because I would have like these red bumps and everything all over my legs and just that embarrassment feeling. Can you talk a little bit more like what helped you? I know it was a lot of emotional issue with me. It's one reason why I talked briefly about on my blog before about, for me, I was the type of girl who I held my emotions in, which I think eventually over time that was also a reason why my eczema exploded so much. It was my body was just like, you need to get some of this toxic energy almost inside of you out. Can you talk a little bit more of like your journey around the emotions in terms of how you handle it? What was your kind of outlet?
I think it definitely took me a really long time to learn that emotions are part of eczema, because when I struggled with it in Hong Kong, like I had my really bad flare-up, I never turned to emotions as a reason why I was having a flare-up. Now I know that emotions definitely contribute to how your skin is doing, and it's basically a reflection of what your body is like emotionally, not just what you put physically in your body, but also what you think emotionally. And so it's taken me maybe over a decade to learn that. So it's been a really long experience, and hopefully for those who are watching your video, they'll be able to learn that, you know, emotions definitely have an effect on you, and hopefully they don't have to go through what I went through, which is years of discovering this. But for me, I've really been on a journey of visualization. So that really helps me. Just visualizing my skin healing, just morning and night, I would just visualize my skin smooth and soft and the way that I want it to be. Even if my skin was all full of like rashes and it was dry and flaky, I would just picture the most smooth baby soft skin that I had, and then I would try to imagine myself in that position, and I would imagine how my friends saw me with really soft skin, and that helps so much.
Oh yeah.
They say that when you visualize something, it helps your brain reach that area faster. So that's something that I firmly believe in, and it's something that Tony Robbins, who I follow, he teaches on that too a lot. The other thing that I did that helped me as an emotional outlet was just having gratitude. So every morning and every night, I would say at least 5 things that I was grateful for. And I know a lot of people do this, like Oprah Winfrey, and I think Jillian Michaels, the personal trainer, does that. And this really helps, because instead of focusing on the negative in your life and how bad your eczema is, it really helps you to refocus your mind on things that are positive. Because when we have eczema, it's so easy to focus on things that are going wrong and how discouraging it is, and people that are judging you and how embarrassed you are. And I feel like that was the focus of my life for so long.
Yeah.
Practicing gratitude really, really helped that. And even throughout the day, just listing things that I was grateful for. Yeah,
visualization is something huge, and both Lauren and I's journey and same with being grateful. And one thing that's helped also with that is we do a lot of, when I was going through my journey, did a lot of mirror work, where I would look at my skin, look at me in the mirror, and that's actually my true self-love journey of really loving who I was when I was covered in eczema. That's when I had to learn to love who I was, no matter that I was covered in these red, ugly blemishes that hurt like hell. Like just really just learn to, and just believed that I was going to get better, that my healing path was going to be there. And it is amazing when you give yourself that time, even though I know it's extremely, extremely hard. And some days it wasn't as pretty or easy to get done through, but I did it. I stuck with it the best I could, and really just focused on just keeping what my skin could look like, because I didn't have it when I was a baby. So Lori always would remind me that, Michelle, you had clear skin once, you can get it again. So I would like try to find old pictures and just remember again, like you were saying, like just kind of remember what that felt like with the skin. And I would, caress my skin and try to imagine it smooth and not feeling bumpy. And it's hard, but I think that's why visualization is so powerful, because you can just kind of almost, it's like a story in your head, and then soon you're going to be living that story. So I thank you so much for saying that. It was a huge part of my journey. And Tony Robbins is great. Definitely, he's helped. I know some people are for or not for affirmations. My twin sister and I are definitely for them, and we like his approach where you kind of have to get, it's like a full body experience. Like you have to really bring everything, your energy, everything around you to that moment of feeling like, I would say, I'm healed, I'm happy, I love myself, like really, like, even though sometimes it felt really awkward and I felt stupid. But it's, you know, your body inside doesn't know the difference if you're really faking it or not. And if so, over time, your everything, your cells kind of catch up. And I know part of my journey of self-love is also when I was exposed to new doctors and new healing. And a lot of my journey was related to a candida overgrowth. And I know you are also have a mind-body connection and the gut connection to your overall health and happiness. Can you share a little bit about your thoughts on the taking care of your gut health and skin?
Yeah, for sure. At least 70% of your immune system is actually located in your gut. And there's trillions of bacteria there, and just your whole body is full of microorganisms that we're not even aware of. So if your gut is off balance, then everything in your body is off balance too. And serotonin is even made in your gut. So then if your gut is affected, then your mood is affected. And that's why people who have gut issues can also experience depression as well. So definitely, I know that for me, it's been a lifelong journey of healing my gut, and this is something that I'm constantly working on. But I believe that anyone who has any type of a disease or illness should definitely look into their gut health.
Yeah, definitely. And I eventually learned later on that eczema is actually an autoimmune disease, and a lot of people don't talk about that much or whatever, and that's why it's so important to take it from an inside out approach. I mean, there's only so much things on the outside topically you can do, and but it definitely, when I did tons of elimination diets during my eczema journey, but it really wasn't till I also came to the right mindset around it and put all my faith in it and just really limited. I think during the time I was only eating like 8 foods or something like that, and I was eating a really high fat diet, lots and lots of coconut oil. And I forget the book. I'll give the link to it. I mentioned before my blog. It's called like Digestive Health was the book I followed, her protocol or whatever. And it was really simple. And I do think when you give your body, your stomach and your digestion, everything, simple diet, it can kind of help bring the inflammation down, because a lot of eczema is also related to inflammation, which is caused by a whole chaos of things, right? So I think definitely keeping your diet simple and things like that. And you mentioned something about supplements. I know for me, my favorite supplements have really noticed a huge difference in my skin was vitamin D and borage oil. What about you? What oils or supplements did you find to help you along your journey?
So I've definitely had my fair share of taking a lot of different supplements. Yeah, and I find that people that I've worked with as well, it really depends on what the root cause is. But for me, I've taken a multivitamin, which is great for just giving like overall nutrient health, especially since, you know, people with eczema can have nutrient deficiencies since the body is using up so many resources. And another one I like is probiotics. I know a lot of people talk about this, but it links back to the gut health that you were talking about. It will help heal the gut. It'll help add in good bacteria, especially if people have been on antibiotics for a while. Another one that I really like is collagen. And, oh, sorry, I think it's, the one I take is Great Westlake's collagen or gelatin.
Yeah, that's what I take that too. Yep.
You take that one too? Mm-hmm. And I really like it because if I can't make bone broth, then this form of gelatin just helps nourish the skin. It helps rebuild it. It helps with scarring as well. So I've heard of people who have seen a big difference after using it as well. Mm-hmm. Another one is B vitamins. It helps with stress, which a lot of us go through emotionally but also physically, and it also helps to rebuild the tissue, which is nice. Another one that I took before, not everyone has to take this, but I took the antioxidants, which were vitamin A, C, E, selenium, and zinc. And these basically help the skin to repair faster, and it helps with the inflammation and helps with reducing it as well. And like you mentioned, you took borage oil, and for me, I take omega-3s, and I found that it really helps to reduce the inflammation and adding good fats as well. And I definitely take coconut oil a lot. It helps kill the bacteria, and for us to have overgrowth of bad bacteria, it's so good in helping to balance the body and balance the gut as well.
Yeah, and it's amazing too. And although for me, I didn't find much relief putting coconut oil on my skin versus me ingesting it, I had to find thicker lotions and creams for a better barrier for my skin and stuff. But I still love coconut oil and swear by it to eat it and just, every day. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I know I'll make sure again everyone to kind of give a recap of everything she said. So I know we're kind of going quickly here in the video, but there's so much I want to say. But can you kind of share a little bit more about how you got to your program? And also I wanted to ask, with eczema, and you kind of briefly just mentioned that now about the root cause, and that's one thing that I found so frustrating in my journey when I was reading and researching all about eczema, trying to figure out what was going on with my skin, was that there's so many root causes or reasons why someone can get it. Did you find that same frustration from working with clients, is that they just don't understand why it started or how it came about?
Definitely. So a lot of people, well, first of all, I find that there's people who don't believe that diet will help them. Yep. And then they see like pictures of people who have tried it, and then they try it and they're like, wow, this is amazing. It's helped my skin so much. But then there are people who have tried doing a diet change and then their skin doesn't help them. Their skin hasn't healed, and so they're disappointed as well. And then a lot of people have tried different types of diets, like vegan diet, paleo, and they've tried different things, and they've still found that it hasn't helped. So there's definitely so many root causes that are possible, that are out there. And if you've tried doing everything yourself and you're finding that you aren't getting anywhere, it really helps to see a practitioner to help you get to that place quicker. And the thing is that I know that some people have seen maybe like a naturopath and they feel like nothing's changed. But one thing I've found is that sometimes it can even take an average of 3 to 4 practitioners before your skin heals, because you might not always find the right practitioner who knows how to deal with eczema. And even if they do, they might not be looking in the right direction in terms of how your body works. So sometimes it takes some trial and error, not just when you're trying to figure out your root cause yourself, but also when someone is working with you.
Yeah, I think I went through 4 or 5 different dermatologists, because none of them could tell me or help me what was going on. And I had to go to a really rare doctor in Naples, Florida. My older sister got me in somehow, and he is known for seeing people with really odd skin. So he doesn't really focus so much on eczema, but she got me in. I was willing to go see him, so I flew down to see him, and he was the first one that kind of explained. He's the one that kind of led me to phototherapy, which was another part of my healing journey, was that route of healing my skin from the outside. But yeah, I totally agree. And then on top of the dermatologist, I can't tell you how many other doctors I saw of all different kinds, all different style of doctors from, anyways, it was crazy. But I think it's worth doing. I know it's also shelling out a lot of money, and that's also kind of unfortunate for eczema healing, is that you just have to try something until it kind of works for you. But one thing for me that I found is I used to just only tweak my diet, and I never saw any change. But it wasn't until I started focusing on, Laura and I, something I always teach our clients, on all parts of life. You can't just say your diet and it's going to be the cure-all and all. You have to take care of your diet. You also take care of how else you're taking care of yourself. That's a lot through how you're talking to yourself, to your emotions. Are you exercising? Are you moving your body? How are you moisturizing your skin? There's so many other factors so I feel like when someone just says, oh, they try to change the diet and help, I would say, don't give up on that. You just need to maybe add another element to your life, what's going on. And stress of the food you're eating, and then the stress in your daily lives all adds up. And if you're not in a good relationship with food in general, that's putting stress on your body. So maybe it's not the food again, it's the stress you have around the food that's causing the issue. So I feel like people, I think, sometimes give up too quickly on things. And I know it can be really, really frustrating, because you just want to get better. You want the itching to stop. Yeah. You just want your skin to look normal. But I think it comes back. You have to slow down and be like, am I really taking care of myself in all parts of life? Which is one reason I know I like your program, because you do cover a lot in it. So can you share a little bit more about your program and kind of how it came about?
Yeah, sure. I would love to share more about my program. So I've been thinking about doing this for a very long time already, and there hasn't really been an eczema program out there that really covers a wide range of topics. I know that when you see a dermatologist, they only look at your skin from one approach, and that's from the outside, and they see how it is, they examine it, they give you a diagnosis, and they name the type of eczema that you have. But that's really problematic for a lot of us, because they're only treating it from the outside, which is a Band-Aid solution, and they aren't looking at it from a holistic point of view, and they're not looking at it from inside your body. And And for eczema, we have to heal it from the inside out instead of from the opposite way, which I know you know a lot about too. So when I created this program, I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to be well-rounded. I wanted there to be a wide range of different instructors from all paths of life so that they could teach about eczema from different points of views. So I have a naturopath as one of the instructors. I have a nutritionist. I have a makeup artist who's also a skin expert, and she knows a lot about skin. I have you, who's a personal trainer, which is awesome. And basically, I have different modules in the program. So I cover an overview of eczema. I cover the basics of skin health, and I teach the different layers of the skin and skin renewal cycles. And then I teach about gut health, diet, detoxification, and toxicity, which isn't always covered largely enough with a lot of doctors that you see. And then I cover supplements, different products, mindset and emotions, and then fitness as well. And then the great thing about your module, which is the fitness module, is that you not only give different workouts, but then they're also eczema friendly and they're easy to follow. And also you have a PDF of different home workout routines that people can do as well, and they can follow along on their own.
Yes, and it was a hard time for me during my journey. I actually had to cut back on how much exercise I would normally do, but I still knew how important moving the body was, and I know for anyone who's suffering with eczema, any type of movement, I do encourage, if maybe not a full workout, but just walking or light stretching or yoga, depending on where your eczema is located, obviously it's going to make a big difference on what you can do, but definitely moving your body. Our bodies are made to move in some capacity during your healing journey is very, very important. So I'm glad I was able to be a part of it and share that with you. And the same with you, I feel like I went through my eczema for a reason, and now I'm able to help more people through you and through sharing my story over on my blog and stuff. So again, thank you, Abby, for allowing me the opportunity to be a part of this.
No problem.
Awesome. And I just have one other question.
Sure.
Working with so many clients, I know you work with a lot of people who have eczema that come to your blog and stuff. Do you find any common things you notice with everybody? Anything like that you know that you hear a lot over that people either are struggling with, or just a common thing that ties them all together that you hear a lot?
I think the one thing that stands out most is everyone is really desperate for help. What I mean by that is that when people are going through a really hard time, they feel like they can't see the end of the tunnel. They can't see the end of, they have no hope. And a lot of times I get a lot of emails with people who are just desperate for help, and they're lost and they're scared and they feel alone. So it's a very lonely illness that not only is it physically painful, but it's really, really emotionally painful as well. So that's why it's amazing that you guys are doing a lot about self-love and like mirror work, and really teaching a lot about how to love and heal yourself emotionally, because I don't think that's taught enough. And I love how you guys have a big support group with your online community that is helping people as well, and I hope that this program can help people as well who do feel alone.
I totally think it will, because I totally agree that I definitely know I felt alone in my journey, even though I had a twin sister and things like that. But you do feel alone, because it's just you and your body, and only you can really feel the pain. And if Lori was here, I'm sure she would tell you, though, coming from someone who didn't have eczema to watch someone with eczema, she said eczema was probably the hardest thing she's ever had to do, because she knew she couldn't do anything really to help me by just being there. And so it's very important to seek help, and that's why I'm so grateful that you created this program for our people to have that common area. You'll be around other people that are going through it and know exactly the frustrations. And I've had some really, 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 really dark moments. And I remember, I don't know how, my sleep was horrible during my
sleep was too, yeah.
I don't think I slept all the years that I had eczema, to be honest. I always would wake up always around 3 a.m.-ish time, always crying, screaming to God, like, why is this happening? I just wanted to end. And I had a few moments where I just told Lori, I'm done. I had a lot of suicidal thoughts, and it was hard. But she kept reminding me, and that's why you need to have someone there who can support you, to remind you, you're strong, you can get through this. just keep going, keep trying new things, and really coming from a place of belief. You have to believe in yourself that you can heal. May not be tomorrow, it may not be next month, but believe that you will heal and your journey to healing will come. But you have to kind of accept where you are in your life, believe you can heal, and then seek help and support from other people who have gone through it. And just know that it's going to be a long journey still to heal. I know for me, like, took about years of doing it, but a good 3 months of really following a strict protocol till I really started to see any type of improvement. And each week it kind of got better. But one thing too with healing, is Abby, you can probably speak on this too, is you'll get a little bit better and then something might throw you back and you feel like you've gone backwards, but that happens in healing. And you guys got to kind of keep going. If overall you still feel good, it feels right what you're doing, just keep going, and just know that slip-ups might make you go back, but just keep going if overall you still feel good with what's going on. Can you speak a little bit on that as well?
Yeah, so for sure. So people always think that healing is always really linear. Like once you're healing, you're on your way and it feels good. But healing can often be 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And just as it's taken your body so long for eczema to develop, it will also take some time for it to heal. Yeah. And a lot of us want quick fixes. We want things to happen overnight. And I think because we're so desperate for healing, when we do heal, it gives us that glimpse of hope. And then when we do flare up, it just devastates us that much more again. And so it's kind of like when it's like when you stand up and then you feel like you get knocked back down. That's often what happens during the healing process. But trust that it gets better over time. Once you start to get better, the flare-ups will be less frequent. And like you mentioned, really trust and believe that your body can heal and will heal. And I just want to mention something really quickly that's really been helping me a lot lately is I discovered something called the Overview Method by John DeMartini. I don't know if you've heard of it before, but it's changed my life, and it's a really, really powerful tool and technique that I found. But basically, for every trauma or illness or every hard event in your life, when you start listing out the benefits and the positive things that have come out of the event, it really changes the response from a stress response to just a positive experience where you start to feel grateful for it. And our bodies can't heal when we're stressed out and in a stressed state. So when you switch that mindset around and you start to feel gratitude for your situation, you start to see how something has benefited you instead of harmed you, then it really helps your body start to heal more. And basically, long story short, but what you do is you list out different, maybe at least 20 different benefits to a hard time that you're experiencing, and then you list out the drawbacks of what would have happened if you never went through it. And just going through this experience and just doing this has really changed my mindset so much, and it's lifted a huge load off of me. So I know that for other people, if you do that, you'll start to, it's kind of like how gratitude works. When you see the positive experiences, it shifts your body from a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state where it's more relaxed and your body is finally able to heal.
Yep, I can totally vouch for that. During my days when I started doing the self-love mirror work and being just grateful, I even had arms, I still had legs, I still had those body parts, even though they might not look right or feel right, I still had them. And I can totally vouch when you start coming from that place. And I had I started to stop fighting myself and really found peace and love for myself. And I feel like that too, that barrier went down, and finally healing came to me, because I feel like when we are so tense so much, it is blocking, in a sense, healing to come to you as soon as you have to learn to relax into it. So I love that approach. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I did want to mention one thing too about flare-ups. The year that I did finally heal my eczema, let's say about 4 or 5 months later, I had my first kind of flare-up after feeling healed. And it was like a very scary moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, is it coming back? You're going to have those thoughts. And I remember, because it happened, I believe it was on my neck, a little by my neck, which was where one of my worst parts was. And Lord kept reminding me, no, you're not going backwards. Stay positive, and you know what to do. And I think too, when you have flare-ups, and you'll learn your body more each time. And each year since then, it's gotten less and less, and I know kind of more what kind of can flare my skin. And I think that's it's just being more mindful of what you're doing in your life, and taking the time to be aware of, is it helping, is it not helping? And each year you'll get better and you'll learn your body more. So when you do have a flare-up, you kind of know how to adjust, like, is it just stress-related, or did you slip up on your diet? Did you find something? So I know for me, one food that I found that triggers mine is citrus food. So I just have to be aware, and if I do eat too much nuts and stuff, but I just have to be aware of it and realize, did I slip up somewhere? Did I allow that into my diet? And it's not about beating yourself up or anything like that. It's just like, oh, okay, hey, I'll just do better next time. And I know my protocol, like start putting my creams back on, lotions, take really better care of myself, and just be aware and knowing that each time a flare-up happens, as you're saying, it's not as intense and stuff. But I remember the first one that I had afterwards, I was so scared, and I had all those memories just come rushing back, and all that emotion, like, no, I can't go through this again.
That's scary, yeah.
It's really, really scary. But again, that's why it's so important to have a support team to be like, no, you're okay, stay positive, and just don't. Lawyer remind me is one thing we tell our clients is we just don't put your attention there. Hard, especially with eczema, because you can feel it. But I know for me, keeping my hands busy during that time, so I didn't touch my skin. So a lot of it, my sister and I make a lot of recipes, so we're in the kitchen a lot. I'm making the food, doing the dishes, like doing whatever I can to keep my hands busy, so I'm not touching my skin.
That's a great idea.
One thing, it's just do something to get your mind, your attention off your eczema. Find an activity that really you can get engulfed in. I think that's a huge part also that I think a lot of people miss for healing journeys. You have to make sure you're doing stuff throughout your day that you enjoy, that you're putting that's bringing those feelings of joy back to you, because it's, eczema is very hard and depressing. And so you can find any type of activity. I mean, even if it's reading a book or whatever, sitting by the water or putting your feet in grass, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Just as long as it brings you a sense of peace and joy, and just live in that as much as you can during your journeys. And that'll also, I feel like, speed up your healing process, because again, you're kind of bringing that barrier back down.
Yeah, especially I think what you mentioned about doing what you love, because I think when we have eczema, there's this focus on just hatred. Like, there's a lot of anger that we don't realize. There's a lot of frustration. Mm-hmm. And I think Louise Hay even talks about one of the root causes of eczema is self-hatred, and the feeling of not feeling safe. And there's also resentment as well. So I know a lot of that can build up in us, and we don't even realize it. So I think what you talked about just, finding something you love, taking your mind off of it will really help. And I just encourage people to do that. But one thing I also want to mention is that if stress is one of your triggers that triggers your eczema, the thing is that it's possible that when you have flare-ups, that your flare-ups might not happen right after you have a stressful event. It's possible that it can even happen a few days after your stressful event. So that's the tricky part. It might not be food flaring you up, but it could be a stressful event that's just taken a while to surface on your skin.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I feel like there's also a diet. I know for me, trying to find the culprit food during the elimination diets and stuff, trying to find a food that was maybe causing as well. It happened 2 or 3 days later. It wasn't always that immediate reaction. And I think that's one thing that's hard about anyone who's dealing with food sensitivities. I feel like it's really hard to kind of dig through that, because it could also just be a stressful situation. It may not have been the food that really caused the issue. So that's why it's a journey, and that's why you have to find as much joy and love now. That's why you have to start loving yourself now, because it's going to be a journey, and it's not going to be perfect. And unfortunately, with us girls and everyone out there that has eczema, you kind of always have eczema. So you're always going to have to just be aware of that, and just make sure you're taking care of yourself with the diet, just other parts of life, making sure you're doing something you love, taking care of your skin out from the outside, moving your body, and just really being kind to yourself. Really, as you said, there's a lot of self-hatred, and that was a big thing. I had to do a lot of self-forgiveness to myself.
Oh, that's important, the forgiveness part. Yeah, I love that you mentioned.
I did a lot of forgiveness work, or just around myself, and it really did help. And it might sound silly, like, how is that going to help with my skin? And it does. Again, everything adds up, can eat you up inside. It must be coming out. So just really pay attention to something that you need to forgive yourself on. Because I always remember used to say during my journey, like, I'm so sorry, skin. I'm so sorry, like, for itching it. Like, when I had a bad itching episode, I would just sit there and cry, like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, you just have to really talk to yourself. I know it sounds silly, but just really bring peace and calm and love back to yourself, and your skin will heal. Again, like I said, it's not going to happen tomorrow or next week, but it will happen.
And I think guilt is something that we struggle with a lot, especially like I know I had huge like itching fests, and like I would just take pleasure in watching like my skin flakes fall to the ground, and like I don't know why, I know for a lot of eczema people, like they feel so good after they do that, but then they feel so much guilt after.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so I think, you know, we have a lot of guilt and regret, and I think we need to address each of those emotions. I know one exercise that I did was that, you know, I wrote down I tried to write down events in my life where I felt regret and that I felt resentment, and I just listed all of them out. And then for each event, I tried to write out like different, the benefits that happened in each event, so that it helped to neutralize the emotion of guilt and resentment. And that really helped to balance out my emotions, and it helped me feel better as well. So I think that like emotion is a huge part. Like we need to start to dig deeper into, you know, what emotions might be hiding underneath the surface of us. I think it's like an onion. Like we need to peel different layers off, and then we get closer and closer to healing ourselves and our minds. And the mirror work that you're doing, I'm not sure if anyone else has ever tried it yet, but I know when I tried it, like I was just looking at myself, and I just kept crying and crying because it was so hard to look at myself. And for so many years, like I would always turn off the lights when I went into the washroom. I couldn't even look at myself. I brushed my teeth when the lights were off. I washed my face when the lights were off. And I just couldn't bear to be comfortable in my skin. So having to face myself and do that mirror work that you're talking about, it's not easy. It's hard.
It's not easy. And when you first do it, you may not last long. But I feel like the more you do it, you will start to see yourself differently. And I know for me, I struggled a lot with just when I looked in the mirror, I just saw a different girl. And I hated that girl I saw in the mirror. And then so I had to really dig deep, like why? And as you said, you had to face really uncomfortable moments and allow yourself to feel it. And that was one thing I was never good at. I was like, as soon as I started feeling like something, I would like do something to get me out of it, right? But no, I started to learn to, and it was a practice, and it still is a practice. I ain't perfect with this. Dealing with my emotions is still a journey for me. But the more you allow yourself and know that it's okay to feel uncomfortable, to know that it's going to be hard sometimes, and just be aware of that going in, then it's not so scary when you feel something different coming up. But I agree with everything you said there, 100%. So thank you again, Abby, so much for spending time with me today and sharing your story with my readers. And everyone, I will share all the details about Abby's program down below. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment here below the YouTube video or over on the blog, PearlyTwins.com. Abby, thank you again so much. Where can people find you over on social media and stuff?
So I'm at primephysiquenutrition.com, and then on Facebook and Instagram, I'm on Prime Physique Nutrition, so you can find me there as well. And Michelle, I just want to say it's incredible what you're doing, and I think it's awesome that your life mission is not just, you guys aren't just great at creating recipes, but then you guys are changing people's lives by teaching about, you know, mirror work and self-love, and I don't think enough people are doing that. So it's amazing what you guys are doing, that you're not just about fitness, and I think that's what stands out about you guys. So it's wonderful that you can reach so many people with what you're doing.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, well, and you know, in your journey with food, it's not always just about food, and that's one thing that we put so much attention on food, and now we want to help other girls realize it's not so much. There's other things a part of life that can overall affect your happiness and stuff. And so thank you for saying that. It's been a lot of fun, a little bit of transition us in terms of our business, but it's been a lot of fun, exciting, and scary. But it goes back to you focusing on what you love to do, what you're passionate about. And my mission is to help women to find that they're worthy just as they are, and just learn to take care of themselves in all parts of life. And so thank you for that. And I love what you're doing. So anyone that has any issue, or you know of someone that has eczema, please check out all of Abby's programs and her blog. I'll give all of her links down below. It's full of great resources, and her podcast is great, full of great interviews. And Abby, thank you again so much.
Thanks for having me.
See you guys in the next video.